And I have never had orgasm before. I have never squirt before. I prefer you use your fingers instead of the deep penetration you're trying to do. I don't want it. I want you to do that, do that, do that. And that is what I prefer in order to come or to in order to squirt or in order to actually feel good in this whole sexual intercourse. What am I talking about? Stick with me. I'm going to decode certain things you need to know if only you want to squirt one day in your life, because it's not something a lot of people get the opportunity to do, and they have issues with, their partners tend to have problems with, and I know it's affecting your relationship. This is a robust lifestyle with Dr. Ologo, and I am going to take you through the entire process. What is squirting? What at all are we talking about? And I promise you, my lovely friend here is going to help us understand the entire process. Just look into it. Just look into this. I'm going to take you through the steps systematically. So, what is squirting? I've made a long note and I'm going to share it with you right on this channel. Kindly subscribe, kindly like, comment, and share it to your partner if your partner doesn't know about this. So first of all, squirting is an involuntary release of fluid from the urethra during sexual stimulation. And this stimulation, whilst you do it, can lead to squirting at any point in time during the sex, and that is either during the sex, either before the sex, during the sex, or even after the sex game. All right, and so it can happen at any point in time. You need to take note of that. So there are certain misunderstandings that come along with it. What is female ejaculation? What is squirting? And what is sexual incontinence? So let's talk about this briefly before we move into the entire thing. Now, for female ejaculation, that is just like a man or a male will come, using the word cum, will come, and then you see the ejaculate, the fluid out there like that. The females also have the same experience, and this experience, you actually see them come with some thick fluids and all that around. If you are using a condom, you tend to see it around the condom. If you are not using any condom, you tend to see it around the penis, okay, the penile structure, and then it's much more thicker. All right, let's jump. Instead of explaining the squirting, let's jump and then talk about the female, the sexual incontinence first before we come here. Now, for sexual incontinence is the process of, you are having the sex, you're having the intercourse. Let me bring my good friend here. All right. So, don't worry. This is the vaginal opening, okay? And then this is something special I'm going to tell you about. Is the clitoris, all right? Just on top of the vaginal opening. So whilst having the sex, okay, and then you tend to see that she immediately feels like she want to pee, and so because of that, she just sometimes just push it off, or the fluid will come out, which is not much. Okay, now we move on and then we get to squirting, and squirting is actually a gush. It's like it comes out like that gush of fluid that comes out, involuntarily. Okay, you don't need to actually feel like, oh, there's something. It just comes out involuntary, and so it may just pop out like that. Now, is it urine? Let's talk about it before I show you what you are going to do. You heard the sound. It is ready for action. So is it ready, or is it truly urine that people may seem to classify this? So this is it. It's similar to urine. So because look at where it's coming from, and even the content of it tells what it is. All right. So it's not wholly urine. It's not wholly urine. It's actually a mixture of urine, because the urethra takes its content or its water from the bladder, and so the bladder has this collection of different forms of fluid that comes in there. So there is a bit of urine, there is a bit of prostate specific antigen. So that is the prostatic fluid. We have the prostatic fluid coming out, and then we also have the skin gland, which also secretes some form of fluids all the way through. So we have urine, prostate specific antigen fluid or prostatic fluid, we have the skin gland secreting fluids, and then we also have glucose in there, which tends to mix this entire thing. So when it's coming out, it comes out a lot like that. And how does it feel like? Well, there are two experiences I need to show you. One is a very intense feeling, and then one is less intense feel. Now, it depends on how the sex is going and the individual. There are no two people who have the same experience of how squirting seem like. There is one person who may feel very intense. You tend to see their legs, the female legs shaking and all that. It has gotten into her to the extent that it's uncontrollable. You know what I mean? Yes, uncontrollable. And so there is that intense feeling, and there are others who have been squirting either more. I mean, how do I state this? It's not frequent, but they do squirt, and so it tends to come in once in a while, and so it has become something very normal to them. Now, why should someone even, squirt? Why should someone even squirt? So some of the advantages is it brings some tight form of connection, because you see, when dopamine is released from the brain and all that, the excitement that comes with it. So there is some tight connection. The woman feels so, connected with this whole, this sexual feeling. The woman feels so protected. The man also feels like, wow, she has really given her all in this sexual intercourse or this relationship. And it brings that tight connection between the two parties. It also helps, it makes your partner ejaculate just like you will ejaculate. But most often the females or the women tend to ejaculate later after the male has ejaculated. And when the male ejaculates, the penis tend to become flaccid. Okay, it bends. All right, there is no strength. Let me say it. Yeah, the strength in it, the blood flow in it all reduces, and so there is not much strength that comes with it, and so it becomes flaccid. But it helps the man to make the woman come or ejaculate before he also gets to ejaculate. Also, the last point is it makes the sex life better. It makes the sex life better. Now, going on, let's see some of the things you need to consider in order to actually enjoy this whole thing. Now, before you try to even, don't forget, I keep on talking about this as it's very important. Stay hydrated. Hydration is just keeping more fluids in your body. All right. I keep on talking about it. It's going to help your kidneys, because look, the urethra is what brings it out. And so if there is more fluid in you before this sexual activity, you are going to get the result that you actually need. So stay hydrated. Please stay hydrated. Now, the next point is strengthen the pelvic floor muscle. In doing this, I don't know, but you need to exercise your pelvic floor muscle. I'm going to come up with the Kegels exercise so that I explain it into details how you need to do it. But you need to exercise your pelvic floor muscles. That is the Kegels exercise. Also, you need to relax and get aroused. Trust me. Imagine before your husband went to work, or your man went to work, he was like, okay, or before the two of you even left home, you two had decided to actually have sex this evening or when you return from work, you are going to have sex. So because of that, you are going to stay, your mind is going to be made up, and then get excited. So even through conversations, you are aroused already. So please relax, get aroused before you can actually get into this. Also, make sure you play adequately. When I say play adequately, the foreplay. You are going to foreplay adequately before you do anything else. All right, this is one thing that a lot of people miss out before sexual intercourse, and then they want to get all the maximum results. You can't get it. You can't get it. Trust me. And then this part is going to be something else. Make sure you use your lips. That's your mouth. Okay, your mouth, your fingers, and then even sex toys if you have them, to try to stimulate the clitoris before any other thing. Now let's get into the proper business. So let me talk about the protection first. Please, you need to protect yourself, especially if it's a relationship where is an open form of relationship. You need to protect yourself. In order to protect you, there are sexually transmitted diseases that can just fingering, because it's through body fluids, and these fluids you are going to finger, and then if there is a cut or anything there with your body, with the body fluids and this exposure you have, you can get infected. All right, so you need to, if possible, wear a hand glove. You can wear a glove or a condom on your finger, whichever finger you are using to stimulate. You are going to use that to you are going to use the condom or the rubber to actually protect yourself from any form of infection. Also, if you are using your lip, you can go ahead and do the dental dam. I'll try looking for some stuff and then show you more. Dental dam to just protect yourself from getting any form of infection. Now let's get into proper business. The squirting is not it's not a simple thing anyway, but it's very, very simple. Imagine you are actually you are foreplaying before you do any form of deep penetration. So as I told you, this is going to be our vagina. Let's try that. Yes, this works. This is going to be our vagina, that hole. All right, where we are going to get the penetration from. This is going to be the hole for penetration, and then that is going to be our clitoris. The clitoris is actually positioned just a little above. Just a little above. It's about 1 to 2 centimeters above the opening, okay, of the vagina. We have the labia majora and the labia minora, which are the coverings of the vagina. So you are going to have this right here. Now this thing on top of this is where we have the pelvic bone. One tiny pelvic bone. You see where the pubic symphysis is, where the hair, okay, where your hair, the vagina hair grows. Yes, over there. Now there is a bone. There is a tiny bone just on top of the clitoris. And the clitoris is the point where we need we don't even need, it has all the nerve stimulations. And so this is what we are going to do. Instead of just putting your fingers in there, stroking and flicking like that, that is not necessary. That is not necessary. You are not doing anything. You are not going to cause any stimulation to your woman. Let me take you through it. Instead of stroking this way, can you just turn your finger that way? Just turn your finger that way and let it hit the top, because on top of it is where the pubic bone hits the clitoris. On top of it is where the pubic bone hits the clitoris. And so imagine you are stroking it this way. See my hand? I don't want to turn it too much so that I won't be able to tell you. Okay, I think this is good. All right, so it has to be you tapping the top part of it so that it hits the clitoris above. All right, so whilst you can stimulate the clitoris like that, you can also stimulate it from the inside. If you want the clitoris to push and hit the pubic bone. And that is the catch. People keep on talking about G-spot, G-spot. We are doing it right here. Now, let me take you through the steps so that you understand. There is going to be what we call the arrhythmic movement. All right. Arrhythmic movement is whatever form of movement you are doing, you have to make sure that it goes in a particular rhythm. Like you are listening to a song. What do you expect? It goes in a particular rhythm such that you can dance to the tune. So if you are going in, out, that's a little bit faster, but you see, make sure you maintain this same speed. In, out. If you are going to slow it down, make sure you let her know you are slowing down. Now, let there be, so this arrhythmic movement, keep it at the back of your mind. We need clitoral pressure. First point is we need a clitoral pressure. Sorry for my words. Now, the clitoral pressure is the constant impact on the clitoris. The constant impact on the clitoris. So let's say you are there. Make sure the let's say the strength, the pressure you are putting on the clitoris is constant. So it's always in that mood or in that form. Right. Now, let there also be clitoral friction. Friction is, let me show you. When you do this, that is friction. Okay. So there is direct contact. That direct contact is what you need to do on this. Direct contact. So if you are not in here, let it be on the clitoris. Make sure there is direct contact and you are rubbing in a particular rhythm. Don't forget the rhythm. I keep on saying, don't forget the rhythm. Now, there is also clitoral stimulation. Now, stimulation is what I'm doing. We are exciting the clitoris to be able to act in a particular way. All right. So the clitoris is going to hit the pelvic bone on top of it, and that is going to excite the woman. You heard that? It's going to excite the woman in a manner that she has no option than to produce. This excitation will stimulate the urethra. All right, and the urethra is going to stimulate fluid to immediately respond to that action. The second point is one which I don't know. I was searching and then I realized there was this something called kunyaza. Kunyaza is actually from Central Africa. It's a technique that they've been using, and it just means to make someone urinate, to make urinate. You know, back in Ghana, people will be like, back in the days, they'll be like, and then you're going to feel the urge to urinate. But in Central Africa, they call it the konyaza. It's just to make urinate. It's the man continuously strikes the clitoris. Okay, you are going to continuously strike. I've brought just the clitoris. I've left the vagina there. You are going to continuously strike the clitoris. Now, this is it. In a particular rhythm. Point number one. Constant pressure, friction, and stimulation. We've talked about those earlier. Now, what happens is you are going to hold your penis, okay, with the index finger and the index finger and the thumb. You penetrate in small. You don't go fully. You make the head of the penis go in and then you come out, and then you use to strike or you flick the clitoris up and down, side and side in a particular rhythm. All right, so that the clitoris is constantly in touch with a particular form of stimulation. So it doesn't matter the size of the penis, it doesn't matter the length of it, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because you are able to do this, the woman will be able to squirt freely. Whilst you enjoy this, I know others may be thinking that squirting is fake. It's not. squirting is not fake, it's real. It's just that you've not actually had the chance to experience it. That is why you might or may be thinking that squirting is fake. Also, people think not everyone can squirt. No, everyone can squirt so far as you have a vagina and there is a clitoris on top of the vagina. You should be able to squirt because the nerves, when stimulated, will trigger the urethra to, get the sensation. That stimulation is going to be like, bring some fluid, bring some fluid, bring some fluid. So if you want to do this, and it's going to be your first time, you can try it on yourself first before you go in for your next sexual experience. Also, people think it's always a high volume of fluid that is gushing out. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just some little amount of fluid that does not wet the bed sheet. Sometimes just some little amount, it comes and then it just lubricates the entire area, and then you feel, I've gotten to that peak. Yes. Sometimes people also feel without squirting, they haven't actually had good sex. No. As I explained earlier, there are different forms of, explanation to the female ejaculation, the squirting, and then the sexual incontinence. So there are different forms of ways. You need to understand this. But all the same, make sure you subscribe to my channel. You like, you comment, and then you share to someone who has no idea about this going on here. There are more tutorials coming on, and just stick with me. It's always a robust lifestyle with Dr. Ologo.